Demographic deposit, dividend and debt. This is the another reading in demography by Sonalde Desai. He says this that we need to look at two kinds of demographic dividend. So one is very simple because first mortality declines as the nation develops, then fertility declines. When fertility declined, the number of children in the family decline. So it means that the number of dependents are declining. It means that the proportion of dependents in the total population is declining. That's a good thing. And the working age population is increasing. So the burden on the working age population is declining, and hence we have a demographic dividend. He also says this, that in case if the fertility declines faster, then the number of the dependent children are going to reduce faster. The burden on the working age population is going to be lesser. Because of that, the demographic dividend could be more. So it all depends on the speed of fertility decline as well. That is one thing. He says that this is a very simple way of describing the demographic dividend, and this he calls as the first demographic dividend. Then he says that if you look at the second demographic dividend, so it is not enough that the children, number of children, they are declining, right? Or because the number of children, although the number of children is declining, but are you investing in their education? Are you investing in these lesser number of children? In the sense, is their investment in human capital formation? Because in case if there is an investment in the human capital formation, then the benefits of the lesser number of dependents on the working age population, it could be reaped in the longer term as well. आपकी यह पॉपुलेशन जो कि स्किल्ड हो, उसमें आपने ह्यूमन कैपिटल में इन्वेस्ट करा हो, तो आप डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड का ज्यादा फायदा उठा पाएंगे, राइट? So with the decline in the number of dependents that they must support, they will be able to invest more. They will be able to save more because उनकी savings हो जाएंगी. अब उनको कम बच्चों को support करना है. They have to support lesser number of children. So they are saving on educational expenditure. So if they are saving on education expenditure, उनकी savings बढ़ गई हैं, वो invest कर सकते हैं. अब क्या वह इन्वेस्टमेंट ह्यूमन कैपिटल फॉर्मेशन में जा रहा है, क्या हम फ्यूचर प्रोडक्टिविटी को बढ़ा पाएंगे कि नहीं, यह सेकंड डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड है. इन बातों के ऊपर इन ऑथर ने जोर डाला है. फिर वो कहते हैं कि एक चीज होती है डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड, एक होता है डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट, और एक होता है डेमोग्राफिक डेट. उसको वह एक छोटे से डायग्राम से दिखाते हैं. वो ये कहता है कि अगर आप ये देखें तो अब जीडीपी अपॉन पॉपुलेशन, इसको कैसे लिख सकते हैं? वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन अपॉन पॉपुलेशन. तो ये वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन अपॉन पॉपुलेशन क्या है? दिस इज द सपोर्ट रेशियो. अगर आपकी पॉपुलेशन में वर्किंग एज का प्रपोर्शन ज्यादा है तो आपके पास सपोर्ट ज्यादा है, आप सपोर्ट कर सकते हैं डिपेंडेंट्स को. सो सपोर्ट रेशियो. सो दिस इज नथिंग बट द सपोर्ट रेशियो ड्यू टू वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन. इसको ऐसे नहीं लिख सकते, अभी मैं पूरा करूंगा, मैं नीचे का पॉइंट लिख रहा हूं पहले. वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन. पहली बात, फिर वो कहते हैं कि आप इस इससे मल्टीप्लाई कर दीजिए, वर्कर्स अपॉन वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन, ये कहते हैं वर्कर्स अपॉन वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन, जितना पॉपुलेशन आपका वर्किंग एज में है उनमें से कितने लोग काम कर भी रहे हैं। हो सकता है हो आपकी कंट्री के अंदर बहुत सारे लोग वर्किंग एज में, बट क्या वो काम कर रहे हैं, आर दे वर्किंग, दैट इज देयर। सो दिस इज कॉल्ड वर्क पार्टिसिपेशन रेट। दिस इज कॉल्ड वर्क पार्टिसिपेशन। फिर वो कहते हैं इसको आप इससे मल्टीप्लाई कर सकते हैं, जीडीपी अपॉन वर्कर्स, टोटल जीडीपी अपॉन टोटल नंबर ऑफ वर्कर्स। ये क्या दर्शाएगा आपको, पर वर्कर प्रोडक्टिविटी। ये क्या दर्शाएगा आपको, पर वर्कर प्रोडक्टिविटी। और जीडीपी अपॉन पॉपुलेशन आपको क्या दर्शाता है, पर कैपिटा जीडीपी। पर कैपिटा जीडीपी, राइट। वो ये कहते हैं कि आपको इस बारे में ध्यान रखना होगा कि आप डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट को, डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड को और डेमोग्राफिक डेट को आपस में डिस्टिंग्विश कर पाए। वो ये कहते हैं कि अगर आप डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट्स को देखें, ये तो बहुत सिंपल सी बात है, वो ये कह रहे हैं फर्टिलिटी डिक्लाइन हुई है, नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन कम हो गए हैं, डिपेंडेंट्स कम हो गए हैं, एक्सपेंडिचर कम हो गया है इंडिपेंडेंट्स के कम होने की वजह से, क्योंकि जैसे क्योंकि नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन कम हुए तो उनके ऊपर जो एजुकेशन और जो हेल्थ एक्सपेंडिचर था वो कम हो गया। ठीक है। सो कुछ सेविंग्स हो गई हैं, बिकॉज आप अब कम एक्सपेंडिचर कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आपके डिपेंडेंट्स कम हो गए, क्योंकि आपके डिपेंडेंट्स कम हो गए। तो यह सेविंग्स आर लाइक डिपॉजिट्स ना, these savings are like deposits। और वो ये कहते हैं कि आप इस डिपॉजिट में से बाद में पैसा निकाल पाएंगे जब आपकी फैमिली के अंदर एल्डरली बढ़ जाएंगे, क्योंकि फर्टिलिटी डिक्लाइन हुई है तो चिल्ड्रन कम हुए हैं, बट मोर्टेलिटी डिक्लाइन हुई है तो लोग अब ज्यादा जी रहे हैं, उसकी वजह से एल्डरली बढ़ रहे हैं। तो अगर आपका खर्चा एक जगह कम हुआ है तो एक जगह आपका खर्चा बढ़ा भी है। आर यू विद मी? इसी बात को उन्होंने फर्स्ट डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड और डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट कहा है, कि नंबर ऑफ डिपेंडेंट्स दे आर ड्रॉपिंग टेम्पोररली। जैसे फर्टिलिटी डिक्लाइन हुआ, नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन कम हो गए हैं, आप अब उनकी पढ़ाई पे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल उनकी हेल्थ के ऊपर जो खर्चा करते वो अब कम हो गया, क्योंकि अब नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन ही कम हो गए। सो ये सेविंग्स एक तरह का डिपॉजिट है, और इन सेविंग्स में से बाद में आप पैसा निकाल पाएंगे जब आपकी फैमिली में एल्डरली बढ़ेंगे, राइट। तो वो ये कहते हैं यह जो है दिस थिंग, दिस इज डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट। दिस इज कॉल्ड डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट, राइट। और ये पर वर्कर प्रोडक्टिविटी बढ़ना, यह इज डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड। हम अलग अलग रिकॉर्डिंग से बात करेंगे इस डिपॉजिट के बारे में, डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड के बारे में और डेमोग्राफिक डेट के बारे में। डिविडेंड, ठीक है, ये तो पहला डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड है। फिर वो कहते हैं जो सेकंड डेमोग्राफिक डिविडेंड है, दैट इज लाइक, और जो डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट है, देखिए वो ये कहते हैं कि नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन कम हो रहे हैं लेकिन मोर्टेलिटी डिक्लाइन हो रही है, तो लोग अब ज्यादा जी रहे हैं, उसकी वजह से प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ एल्डरली आपकी कंट्री के अंदर बढ़ रहा है। तो अगर प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ एल्डरली बढ़, और प्रोपोर्शन ऑफ एल्डरली क्यों बढ़ रहा है? हाँ, बिकॉज मोर्टेलिटी हमारा डिक्लाइन हो रहा है, लाइफ एक्सपेक्टेंसी बढ़ रही है। लेकिन एल्डरली के साथ साथ इन एल्डरली की केयर करने की प्रॉब्लम्स भी बढ़ रही। जनरली in the elderly population there is the higher chances of non-communicable diseases increasing. There are, I mean, non-communicable diseases are going to increase, so that's a health burden on the society. उनके इलाज में पैसा खर्च होता है। दूसरा, क्योंकि चिल्ड्रन कम हो रहे हैं तो इन एल्डरली की सेवा कौन करेगा जब यह बूढ़े होंगे, तो यह भी एक तरीके की प्रॉब्लम है। एक तरीके से तो फर्टिलिटी डिक्लाइन होना सही बात है, लेकिन दूसरे तरीके से आप वही चीज प्रॉब्लम बन रही है, बिकमिंग अ डेट, जब यह प्रपोर्शन, ये पॉपुलेशन एल्डरली हो जाएगी। डिक्लाइनिंग अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ चिल्ड्रन टू केयर फॉर द एल्डरली, so whether society will be able to discharge its debt or not, it depends upon what kind of social institutions and safeguards that we are going to put in place. क्या हमने सोचा है इस बारे में कि जो proportion of elderly बढ़ जाएगा हमारी कंट्री में, हम इनकी कैसे देखभाल कर पाएंगे? गवर्नमेंट ने किस तरह की पॉलिसीज के बारे में बात करी है? हम इसमें हार्डली कोई पब्लिक डिस्कोर्स है। यह डेमोग्राफिक डेट है। हम इसी डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट, डिविडेंड और डेट के बारे में अगली रिकॉर्डिंग्स में बात करें। राइट, थैंक यू बेटा। दिस इज द अनदर रीडिंग बाय एस देसाई, डेमोग्राफिक डिपॉजिट, डिविडेंड एंड डेट। अब उधर ये बात करते हैं कि अगर आप दूसरी कंट्रीज की तुलना में देखें, जैसे कि चाइना, जैसे कि ईस्ट एशिया, और हमारी कंट्री को देखें, तो हमारी कंट्री में जो फर्टिलिटी डिक्लाइन हुआ वह स्लो हुआ, और क्योंकि फर्टिलिटी डिक्लाइन स्लो हुआ तो जो डिपेंडेंसी रेशियोज थे वो भी धीरे धीरे फॉल करे। डिपेंडेंसी रेशियोज आर, आई मीन, पीपल हु आर proportion of population which is not working. So in case if fertility is declining slowly, means fertility is still higher, means children, the rate at which children are getting births, that is higher. So children are dependent population, so that is higher. So dependency ratios are going to fall lesser if the number of births are going to be huge. So you cannot expect children to work, right? So the dependency ratios, they were falling slowly at the initial phase of the demographic dividend because fertility was declining. While if you look at the end phase of the fertility of the demographic dividend, you will find is that in those countries, dependency ratios suddenly increased a lot because of the elderly population getting huge. But in our country, it will increase slowly because there was a slow decrease in fertility. So there was a slow decrease in the dependency ratio, and there will be the there will be the slow increase in the dependency ratio also. He talk about two things. He said this, that if you look at UN estimates, you'll find is that UN says that India is going to reach its fertility replacement fertility level by around 2040. एस देसाई साहब कहते हैं कि ये जरूरी नहीं है कि हम 2040 से पहले फर्टिलिटी रिप्लेसमेंट लेवल को नहीं पा सकते। ऐसा क्यों कहते हैं? वो कहते हैं यूएन के अपने एस्टिमेट्स को भी देख लीजिए। सन 2000 में हम 3.3 का टोटल फर्टिलिटी रेट था और 2010 में 2.66 का फर्टिलिटी रेट है। अगर आप इसी रेट को देखें तो हम 2040 में रिप्लेसमेंट लेवल ऑफ फर्टिलिटी से पहले ही पहुंच सकते, 2040 से पहले ही रिप्लेसमेंट लेवल ऑफ फर्टिलिटी से पहुंच सकते। ये कहते हैं। एंड सेकेंड रीजन विच ही गिव्स for that Indian fertility could actually reach its replacement level before 2040 is what is called the tempo effect. There are delayed marriages now. People are not getting married early. Some people are getting married in 30s, 40s also. So naturally, if they're getting married late, they will have their first child also late. And that is, I mean, there will be the postponement of births for around a decade. जो पहले लोग 21 साल में 18 साल में शादी कर लेते थे, अब नॉर्मल है 28, 29, 30 साल में शादी करना। तो अराउंड अ डेकेड का फर्क पड़ जाएगा, उसकी वजह से भी फर्टिलिटी डिक्लाइन होगी। और वो कहते हैं कि इसको हम टेम्पो इफेक्ट कहते हैं, और इसकी वजह से भी हो सकता है कि हम 2040 से पहले ही अपना रिप्लेसमेंट लेवल पा लें, फर्टिलिटी का रिप्लेसमेंट लेवल पा लें, राइट? So because of this, fertility decline is going to speed up and we might reach our replacement level even earlier than this. पहली बात तो वो ये कहते हैं, इस रिकॉर्डिंग में पहला पॉइंट ये था। दूसरा पॉइंट वो कहते हैं कि आप अगर सिर्फ यह देखते हैं डिपेंडेंसी रेशियोज में कि कितनी वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन है और कितनी नॉन वर्किंग एज पॉपुलेशन, then this is not the right way to judge. They are saying if you can't just focus on how much of the proportion of population is working to the total population. You can't just look at that ratio. Even within the working age population, are everyone working? Is everyone working? No. You look at women. So in our country, there is very low women participation rates as compared to the other countries. And even among youth, there is high unemployment. जो हम लिखते हैं ना 15 to 65 years is the working age population. Actually, do you think that people from 15 to 25 they are working, or they're working in nice jobs, they're earning a lot, right? They're spending their time in education. So that is not a wrong thing to say, but what they are saying is you need to look at the proportion of workers to non-workers also in the working age population. आप सिर्फ ये नहीं देख सकते how much proportion of the working age population is there to the total population. That is not enough. You also have to see that within the working age population, how much proportion of people are actually working and how much of them are not working, right? So this is the point which I have written, that is, in India, labor markets are characterized by low female workforce participation rates as compared to the other countries, and we also have the problem of high youth unemployment. That is them. वो ये कहते हैं कि अगर आप low women workforce participation rate को देखें, there are evidences which are given in your reading about the female workforce participation rate, which you can write it from there. Those numbers. I look at few important points. He makes a very interesting point. He says, if you look at women's workforce participation rate and the education levels, you will find that there is the inverse U-shaped kind of relationship. There is an inverse U-shaped kind of relationship, right? Like this. So when let's say you have education here and you have female workforce participation rate. So you were at the zero level of education. And then you started having education, then of course the female workforce participation rate is going to fall because you are spending your time in education, right? Then not until you have passed, let's say, class 12, your participation rate is going to increase. Because just by passing primary education, it's not that you will be getting office jobs. And some other kinds of jobs are completely close to you. For example, jobs of the, you do not want to do manual labor. I'm talking about females. They do not want to do manual labor. They're little educated, primary education, at least they have. So they do not want to do manual labor, and some other semi-skilled jobs are close to them. For example, drivers. It's a semi-skilled job, but that is close to them. But after they have gone beyond 12th standard, their participation rates is going to increase. Now they can get employable, I mean, they can get better jobs, let's say in offices. So there is an inverse relationship. So that is one thing. Other thing is, it's also a very interesting point. So if the household income is increasing, then people will generally think, why do women have to work? Why do they have to go outside home? Why do they have to earn? Because it is seen that if they're going to work in offices, when already the household income is enough, they have to work in offices, they will be thrown open to abuses by sometimes male members also. And that is like a disrespect for the family. So if anyone is saying anything to women of our family, that is like a shame on our family. That is like a disrespect for our family. So people will say, if our household income is enough, you do not have to work. So because of these reasons, female workforce participation rate is lesser. That is one thing. Yeah, they are in the working age, but they're not working. But again, saying this, that women are not working, they have given a very important point. This NSS is like, I mean, they are taking up only those kinds of work which they can measure. Not every kind of activity could be marketed, but that doesn't mean that they are not working. So especially women, they spend a lot of time in those unpaid economic activities. But without them, you can't actually work. Male members can't work without that unpaid work given by women. Those household work, unpaid. But you don't call that as work because you do not want to measure this in GDP. That is one thing. So they say that if you can tap these resources, if you can tap the entire female workforce and they also start working, I mean, we can actually reap the benefits of demographic dividend. So they say that you do not have to just look at the total working age population upon total population. You also have to see how much of the working age population itself is working. Secondly, they say that there is the problem of declining employment in youth. They say this, that you look at youth, for example, 15-21, 15 to 25 and all, they're spending their time in education, which itself is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing. Because they're building up skills. That's a long-term skill, right? That's a human capital formation. So they're investing in that. So that is a good thing. That is the education levels are rising. But again, we need to take up steps so that youth unemployment, whatever it is, it could be tackled. So at least those people who want to work in youth, they should be getting proper jobs. Those who are getting education, that is completely fine. Of course, they can't work at that time, but those who want to work, they should be getting proper jobs. They should be adding to the productivity of the economy. So those steps should be taken. So there are two things which we have learned in this recording. One, that India can actually reach its replacement level even before 2040 for the reasons he has told. And you do not have to look only at the total working age population upon total population. You also have to look at what is happening in the working age population. Are all workers in the working age population working, or there are some non-workers also, right? So This is what I wanted to do in this class, but thank you. So we are discussing this reading by S. Desai, Demographic Deposit, Dividend and Debt. And if you look at this, now we are going to talk about demographic dividend. And they say that if you really want to reap the benefits of demographic dividend, you will have to invest more and more in increasing productivity of the nation. Improving human capital formation, investing in human capital formation. So they say this, that the two factors which are going to play a very, very important role in reaping the benefits of the demographic transition, they are, one is the improved capital, another is the high savings rate. Improved human capital, I'm sorry. So when you know what is physical capital, right? What is human capital? Human capital is that you have invested in labor force. That labor force has become skilled, that is educated. So the same human can actually do more work. It can produce more output vis-a-vis the person who is not that educated, who is not that skilled. So our idea should be to invest more and more into human capital formation so that people get more skilled and the productivity of the nation ultimately is going to increase. That's an idea. So one is improved human capital. So they say this, that when the dependency ratios are going to decrease, right? That is, people will have fewer children. So see, the dependency ratios will be decreasing because of fewer children, but they might be increasing because of elderly population increasing. Here we are talking about the fertility decline, and that is resulting in the decline in the dependency ratio. They are saying this, that if the family has fewer children, then they can invest in giving the better quality life to those children, right? And ultimately, in case if everyone, or if most of the families in the nation will have fewer children, then the state will also be burdened less. So state can also have more resources left with it, which it can invest in human capital formation, which it can invest in improving the skills of those children, which it can invest in improving the education of those fewer children. So it is helping family as well as state. When I say state, I mean government, right? Now, there are few studies which have been done. One of the studies by Basu and Desai, 2016. They say this, that those families which have single child, they invest 40% more in children's education as compared to those families who have 2 to 3 children. So investment in children's education is proportional to the number of children in the family. So you have fewer children, you will have more investment. You will have more children in the family, fewer investment in education of each child. Children from a single family are about 6% more likely to attend private school in the rural areas and 12 percentage points more in the urban area. So this is what their studies are showing. This is showing the benefits of having fewer children in the family. There is another study by Gary Becker. That's a pioneering study, and which says this, that the reason families or parents would want to have smaller families is because they want to give quality life to their children, to their lesser number of children. They can invest in the quality education for that child. So the desire to invest in child quality is one of the primary reasons for curtailing fertility. So you have made one point. You made one point that having fewer children will help families in investing better in human capital formation, in investing in children's education. And then you have given the evidences from the studies. So this is what we expect in the answer. That you make a point, and then you give the evidence in the form of the data or evidence in the form of the study. This is the way we expect you to answer. Then, because families have fewer children now, ultimately lesser number of children are there in the country. So state will have also resources left to them, which they can invest in children's education. So state's investment in education, and SSI says that, if you look at Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, the budgets for such kinds of programs, they have increased over the time. And recently also, there are many other programs which government has initiated in order to improve the skill level and the education level of people in the country. So state investments in education. But then there is a question. Okay, fine. We might be experiencing fertility decline, and state is also investing more in education. So we would at least expect our children to read and write properly. That's what we expect, right? So there were studies which were taken up by, there were few studies by Pratham and the India Human Development Survey 1 and 2. Both of these studies, more or less, they found this, that instead of having an improvement in the reading skills of the children, right? I think the children of 6 to 14 years, there is a slight decline in the reading ability of the children of 6 to 14 years. So this is not what we expect. Country is experiencing fertility decline. State is also investing more in education. So where are the outcomes? At least we expect our children to read and write properly, reading a simple paragraph. But there was a slight decline in that. And not only that, India Human Development Survey 1 and 2 also has almost a similar result. That is, there is slight decline in the reading skills rather than an improvement over the time. So it means that there is a need for investing in human capital formation, right? You can't just do a facelift. You need a proper approach where human capital formation is going to be improved, right? Then the another way you can reap the benefits of demographic dividend and increasing productivity is if your savings are increased. So SSI says that if you compare current savings rate with the savings rate in 1980s, you will find a considerable improvement. But if you compare current savings rate with the peak of savings rate in 2007-8, then you will find that there is a decline in the domestic savings rate. So whether it is domestic savings or it is public savings or it is corporate savings, all of them have fallen. So in case of the savings are not going to be there, savings are like supply of funds. So if supply of funds is not there, so then the people who are demanding funds, that is investment, that also is not going to be there. If investment is not going to be more, then definitely there won't be any capital formation. So that's an idea. So the idea is that you need to pick up the savings rate. But in conclusion, what SDSI is trying to say is that we understand this, that savings are little lower as compared to the all-time high of 2007-8, right? But they're still high, and we can do something to recover the little declining savings rate, and savings rate can increase. But the more acute problem is the loss in human capital formation, right? So we have to invest more in human capital formation in case if we want to reap the benefits of the demographic dividend. So that is an idea. So the idea is, so in conclusion, what you can say that yes, you need to invest in human capital formation. Yes, domestic savings have to be increased. Domestic savings, according to author, we will be able to recover faster as compared to the loss of human capital formation. That's an idea. So, but this is what I wanted to do in this part, and hopefully I think I will be able to cover the reading by Desai in the next recording, right? So I hope you like it and it was a little useful to you, right? Please make notes, right? Don't think that you do not have to add on. You will have to add on, right? You will have to definitely read the readings. They are just helping you to read the reading. Don't take them as a substitute. Take them as a complement. You will definitely have to read the reading. After listening to the video, you'll be able to understand the reading well. But you definitely have to read the reading and make notes. So don't try to use any shortcut. They will never ever help you. Never ever help you. So if you think, okay, chalo मैं तो ये बस ये recording देख लेता हूँ, ऐसे कुछ नहीं होने वाला. And one thing you have to understand, all of this, whatever you are doing, this is your job. You are not, when you are studying, you're not doing any ihsan on us. You're doing studies, you're not doing any favor to anyone except you. Understand this thing very, very well. And I want to tell my children, this is going to be useful. So this is your job, and do it to the best of your ability as you can. Don't just try to use any shortcuts. Don't think you have seen the recording, you do not have to read the reading. You still have to read it. There might be few points which you might have to add. There can be few points which you have to ask your teacher. Definitely. So please use them. Chalo. Okay, beta. Thank you. Demographic Deposit, Dividend and Debt, S. Desai. This is the last part of the reading by Sonalde Desai. And here we are talking about demographic debt. The point is that when the demographic transition is proceeding, so earlier, because of the fertility rate decline, the proportion of children is falling. But because of mortality decline, because of improvements in the medical facilities, people are living longer. And because of that, the elderly population in the total population, that is going to increase, right? Right. So the children among the dependent population, that is going to fall, but the elderly population is going to increase. So how you are going to take care of that, right? How you are going to take care of that? There is a study by Ladu Singh and Narayana in 2011. The main point which came out was that the elderly people, they consume more than what they can earn. It is not surprising because they are not working. So their earnings, they are living mostly on their savings. So, and they are just they're consuming their savings only. So their consumption is more than what they can earn. So they are dependent upon their personal savings, if they have worked throughout the life, or they are dependent upon the care from their children, right? They are dependent upon the family members to support them. That's one thing. So we need to take care of how these elderly people are going to care for themselves when they will become the dependent population. Then there is the another study by IHDS, India Human Development Survey. They say this, that more than 80% of the Indians who are aged above 60 years, they are living with their children or the other family members. So when they're living with their children and other family members, it means that they're dependent upon them, right? So there is a systematic family relation which is caring for them. And those people who are living away from their children, they are dependent upon the remittances from their children. So either they're living with them, then also they are dependent upon them. If they're living away from them, then also they are dependent upon them. But what is happening is that as the fertility is declining and the migration is also increasing, this support system is getting changed, is fast declining. Because fertility is declining, so there are the number of children which will be there in the household, who will be supporting these elderly population when they will become dependent, that proportion is falling. So the support system is falling. These elderly population do not have anyone to back on. I mean, they do not have anyone on whom they can be dependent upon. Secondly, there is an increasing migration. Children, they move out completely, and suddenly the support system, it breaks. They might be living, I mean, these elderly people could be living on the remittances, but again, the the but the entire support system in terms of care, it has started. IHDS also found out that even between 2004-5 and 2011-12, this India Human Development Survey found out that the proportion of senior citizens who live by themselves or only with their spouse, that also has increased. It has increased from 13% to 19% in case of male, and from 11% to 16% in case of women. So don't you think there is a huge proportion of people who are living by themselves, who do not have anyone to care for? There should be policies how you are going to take care of your huge elderly population, how you will take care of them, right? So we need to plan for the elderly people as the percentage of the older population is going to rise. One thing which other states also have done, which other countries also have done, is that they have increased the working age. They have some states, some countries have completely got rid of the retirement age because people are living longer, and some countries, they have increased the retirement age, right? So they can increase their working age. That is one thing. So employment policy would have to take care that you need to create the employment opportunities for them, right? For the older population. One is that you can increase the working life and raising the age of retirement. That is one way. That they'll be, because when they'll be working more, they have more chances to save, right? And hence they can support themselves. And don't you think that then there is a study by, I think there was a study by Sinha and Kanbur in 2012. They said this, that there should be more opportunities that should be created for the older population in the social sector also, right? They can work as a para teachers. The way you have paramedical staff, the way you have para legal staff, you can also have para teachers. They could be employed in schools. Maybe the wage is not that high, whatever. But the people who are formally retiring from the sector, from the formal sector, but they can still work, I mean, in some kind of other arrangement. So we need to provide them for the opportunities to work. People are living longer. What will they do in case if they are not going to work? They'll be dependent upon the other people, their dependents, who will not be willing to care for them. So state has to create the opportunities for the people. That is there. Managing soaring healthcare costs. Now that again is a very, very important part, because Sonalde Desai, I mean, he says this, that if you look at the expenditure, health expenditure, which is incurred in the final years of life, that is huge as compared to the entire other life. So final 10 years of life, you're spending a lot on the health expenditure. And on the final of that final 10 years, you are really spending a lot on the health expenditure. Who is going to take care of that? So they say that, and managing these huge healthcare costs is a challenge for every kind of society. So there should be the layered healthcare financing. So basic healthcare measures should be provided by the public healthcare, government hospitals. Emergency care should be universally provided through the state programs like Rashtriya Swasthya Bima Yojana. And tertiary care costs are privatized through the private health insurance system. It should be done like that. There should be the layered financing. And then you have increasing the ability to save for the old people. Increasing the ability to save for the old people. As you understand one thing, that there is there was a study by Ladu Singh and Narayana in 2011. They say that the working age parents, working age adults, they spend around 7 lakh, around approximately 7 lakh for caring for their children. Now, if the fertility is going to decline as the demographic transition is going to go, when the fertility is going to decline, they will have to spend less on caring for the children. So when they will have to spend less on the caring for the children, it means that they can save this amount. If they can save this amount, they will have this saving for their retirement, for the age after retirement, right? But the problem is that even if the fertility is falling, the cost of education is not falling. Cost of education is in fact increasing. And people are spending a lot on education also, right? So this saving, which could have been there because of the fertility decline, because now they have to spend less on caring for children, that saving could be completely absorbed by increasing cost of the quality education which they would want to provide to their little children, to their less number of children also. So earlier with the larger families, the problem was that they cannot give the quality education to all children. Now with the smaller family, the problem is that they want to give the quality education, but that quality education comes at a huge cost. So these are the things which we need to plan, which we need to tell them, boss. We need to create the opportunities for the old people to work more, so that they can earn more, they can save more. Secondly, we should have a layered healthcare financing system, and thirdly, there should be the increasing ability to save for the old age. Right. So in this way, author has sort of defined what is demographic deposit, dividend, and debt. Right. So I hope this was a little helpful to you. Right. Thank you, Beta.